ancient Pergamon, the center of pagan worship in Asia Minor, once known as the place where Satan dwells. In the 1st century, it was a thriving city. But after countless wars and natural disasters, the temples of Pergamon lay in ruins.
By the mid-19th century, the once great city of Pergamon was barely a memory. The locals were using the site as a quarry, looting the marble for new buildings. Until 1864, when a German engineer paid a visit.
Karl Humann was shocked by the destruction of the priceless artifacts, so he got permission to excavate the ancient city himself. And what he found was one of the greatest monuments in history, the altar of Zeus.
Stone by stone, the altar was excavated and brought here to Berlin, and then it was reassembled and placed in its own museum.
The Pergamon Museum was finished in 1930, with the altar as its centerpiece. Eventually, it caught the eye of a young man named Albert Speer, the new chief architect for the Nazi Party. Adolf Hitler had commissioned him to design the parade grounds for the party rallies in Nuremberg. And for inspiration, Speer turned to the Pergamon altar.
Speer gives all the credit to Hitler. I think that he's like a good interior decorator that someone hires, and that client already has the ideas of what he wants to do, and the decorator agrees with him and just fulfills them. So that's what Speer did.
Using the altar as his model, Speer created a colossal grandstand at the rally grounds. It became known as the Zeppelin Tribune. After the war, only a small part of it was left standing.
In the middle of the grandstand, where the altar to Zeus stood in ancient Pergamon, Albert Speer built Hitler's podium. Hitler wanted to create what he called a mass experience, and Speer came up with the perfect idea.
Most of the Nuremberg rallies were held at night, so Speer surrounded the grandstand with 150 searchlights. The columns of light extended for miles in the sky, creating the mystical effect Hitler wanted. The concluding meeting in Nuremberg must be exactly as solemnly and ceremonially performed as a service of the Catholic Church. This effect was known as the Cathedral of Light, and it became a hallmark of Hitler's events. It was even used in the closing ceremonies of the 1936 Olympics in Berlin.
Hitler is very much aware of German mythology, and anytime you look at mythology and gods, you're looking skyward. So I don't think it's an accident that he says to Speer, let's create an environment of looking towards the heavens. And that's what it does.
Inside the rally grounds, thousands of Nazi Party members marched in torchlight parades.
These events happen at night, which gives a contrasting effect of fear, of strength, of the unknown, of mystery, and that's all intended by him. He's very theatrical. Torchlight fire has always been part of even pre-Christian beliefs. So I think there's a kind of a quasi-mystical, semi-religious content to these torch parades. There's many of them in Nazi Germany.
From his podium, Hitler mesmerized the crowds. Not every one of you sees me, and I do not see every one of you, but I feel you, and you feel me. Then, under the Cathedral of Light, thousands of Germans swore what they called a holy oath. Blazing flames hold us together into eternity. No one shall take this faith from those who are dedicated to Germany.
From 1933 to 1938, hundreds of thousands of people gathered here every September for the Nazi Party Congress. But it was the 1934 Congress that captured the attention of the world, thanks to what may be the greatest propaganda film of all time.
The 1934 party film is the consummate picture of Hitler. That's it. No other film was ever made of him. And he didn't want any other film made of him. Everything that he wanted people to know about the Nazis is in that film. It was shown continuously for 12 years in Germany.
Triumph of the Will was directed by a young German actress named Leni Riefenstahl.
She was a famous movie star. I would characterize her sort of as a female Indiana Jones. And she was pretty and shapely and popular. Romantic films, escapist. Hitler's a bit of a romantic. And so he liked her.
The film portrayed Hitler as a godlike figure, the savior of the German people.
Hitler's entrance in the film is from the sky, as a Messiah would be descending down through the heavens, through the clouds, to the faithful waiting for him below. And anytime he appears, any people that are anywhere near up close to him have these starry-eyed looks in their eyes, glazed looks almost, as if they're in the presence of an unearthly being. That's intentional.
In his speeches, Hitler often borrowed Christian phrases, like in this scene with the Hitler Youth.
After they sing their song devoted to him, Hail Hitler to Thee, which is almost like a religious chant, he goes into his speech and he says things like, "You are flesh of our flesh and blood of our blood." Well, he borrows that from the Roman Catholic ritual, with which he's very familiar. It's a very physical statement, and it resonates with that crowd.
Hitler's popularity skyrocketed after the release of Triumph of the Will. The next year, more than 1 million Germans came to Nuremberg to hear his speech. On the evening of September 15, 1935, Hitler announced the Nuremberg Laws, laws that took away German citizenship from Jews.
The law for the protection of German blood and German honor is intended to begin the marginalization process of the Jewish people. Hitler had a lot of popular support for much of his time in office. One doesn't get popular support by saying to the public, we're going to put Jewish people in gas chambers and then incinerate them. You don't do that. What he did was gradually marginalize them.
It was also here that Hitler used the phrase final solution for the first time in public. Bitter complaints have come in from countless places citing the provocative behavior of Jews. This law is an attempt to find a legislative solution. If this attempt fails, it will be necessary to transfer the Jewish problem to the National Socialist Party for a final solution. The Nuremberg Laws stripped the Jews of their rights as citizens.
They couldn't teach in public universities. They couldn't practice medicine in public hospitals. They couldn't fly the national flag. Then that was coupled with the Reich citizenship law, which said that Jewish people in Germany were subjects of the Reich, but not citizens.
Hitler's final solution is now known as the Holocaust, from the Greek word that means a holy burnt animal sacrifice. In AD 92, the faithful martyr Antipas died, a holy burnt sacrifice on the altar of Zeus in Pergamon, the place the book of Revelation calls the throne of Satan. Centuries later in Nuremberg, in the center of a redesigned Pergamon altar, the bronze bull was replaced by a podium. From there, Adolf Hitler announced his final solution to the world, and this time, the burnt sacrifice was 6 million Jews. After the war was over, Albert Speer said, "It's hard to recognize the devil when he has his hand on your shoulder." What are the signs of the Antichrist? What are the evidences that someone has this spirit, the spirit of Antichrist? Well, let's look first to 1 John chapter 2, verse 18. Little children, it is the last hour, and as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, by which we know that it is the last hour. When you look at this verse in 1 John, you start understanding there isn't just one Antichrist, there are many. There is a major one to come, but there have been many in history who have set themselves up as against Jesus, against the Messiah, against the Holy One of Israel. And here's how they do it. You find it also in 1 John. This is chapter 4, verse 3. Every spirit that does not confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and is now already in the world. So as John's telling us, this is already here, and it's been here for thousands of years. And how do you recognize when someone has this spirit, someone who acts as one of the many antichrists? Well, here's a clue, and this is directly from Jesus, and he's prophesying about the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. And it's interesting, his disciples come to him and say, well, when will these things be? And what is the sign of your coming and the end of the age? And so there's a three-part question here. Jesus in Matthew chapter 24 answers all three questions, but specifically adds in a unique phrase that comes from the book of Daniel. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. And some marginal notes say, this is the Antichrist. Let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Now, this specific prophecy of Daniel, some claim, was fulfilled already before Jesus was even born. Antiochus Epiphanes came, and he slaughtered Jews. About 80,000 were killed. And in the Holy of Holies, in the temple, he set up a statue of Zeus. And there he offered sacrifice. And he sacrificed a pig in the Holy of Holies. The abomination of desolation in the Holy of Holies. And he offered a pig there. 80,000 Jews died. It was illegal to be Jewish. It was illegal to circumcise. It was illegal to observe the Sabbath. It was illegal to offer sacrifices. And all of this had happened before Jesus was even born. So he's prophesying yet another abomination of desolation from the book of Daniel that would come. His name was Titus. And it happened within a generation of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. It happened in AD 70. And Titus came and he looted the temple. Behind me, you can see the Arch of Titus, which still stands in the city of Rome. And you see the golden menorah that had been taken. You see the silver trumpets, articles from the temple that were taken as trophies back to the city of Rome by the then-to-be Emperor Titus. And he set them up in a special temple and offered sacrifice to them there. Now, what did Titus do? He absolutely destroyed Jerusalem. He tricked the Jews and said, if you want to celebrate Passover, you can go into the city. And then when the city was filled, he then shut the gates and he literally starved them to death. From roughly April to August in AD 70, 1.1 million Jews were killed. And after he took the city, the reports are that he then set up a statue of himself. And a Roman legion came in and offered sacrifice in the Holy of Holies to Titus. He put himself in the place of God in the temple in Jerusalem. Here's what Titus had to say. And you find this from Philostratus. He wrote contemporaneously, and he said this, he quoted Titus. After Titus had taken Jerusalem, and when the country all around was filled with corpses, the neighboring races offered him a crown. But he disclaimed any such honor to himself, saying it was not himself that had accomplished this exploit, but had merely lent his arms to God, who had so manifested his wrath. This is one of the signs of the Antichrist, one of the signs of the abomination of desolation. And there is yet to be filled, because we know from both the writings of Paul, the man of sin, from the writings of John in Revelation, and from the words of Jesus, that there will yet be another Antichrist who will come, who will try to set himself up in the Holy of Holies. Here it is from Daniel chapter 8, verses 23 through 26. These are the signs
of the Antichrist. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their fullness, a king shall arise, having fierce features, who understands sinister schemes. His power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy fearfully, and shall prosper and thrive. He shall destroy the mighty, and also the holy people. Through his cunning he shall cause deceit to prosper under his rule, and he shall exalt himself in his heart. He shall destroy many in their prosperity. He shall even rise against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without human means. And the vision of the evenings and the mornings which was told is true. Therefore seal up the vision, for it refers to many days in the future. Now Daniel here is quoting an angel, and that angel is giving him the keys. Let's look at each one. A king shall arise. When you get the understanding, it's a king. It's an absolute ruler. And you can call them emperor. You can call him a Caesar. You can call him a Führer. You can call him a chairman. You can call him all kinds of things. But you've got to understand, he has absolute rule. When he makes a decree, it becomes the law of the land. Second, his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He'll have unusual things. The book of Revelation talks about he'll have the ability to give signs and wonders. He'll be so unusual in his power that even the elect can be deceived by what he's doing. So when you look at the Antichrist that have arisen, Titus said, well, I didn't destroy Jerusalem. I just lent my arms to God. You start to understand what's going on. The Führer said he was tapping into the Third Reich, the third millennial reign of the great German people. They always attribute that it's not their own power, they're tapping into some supernatural power. Third sign, he shall destroy fearfully, and then he shall destroy the mighty, and also the holy people. Start understanding, what does the Antichrist go after? He always goes after the holy people. And whether that's Jews or Christians, he targets them and tries to wipe them out. He also destroys prosperity. He exalts himself in his own heart, and then he shall destroy many in their prosperity. So we see destruction fearfully, destroying the mighty, destroying the holy people, and destroying many in their prosperity. He brings poverty, he brings destruction, he brings genocide against the holy people. And the final clue, he shall even rise against the prince of princes. He exalts himself against the Messiah, against Jesus. He puts himself in the place of the Messiah, and that's the final sign. Where's the hope? He shall be broken without human means. When we understand that God himself will intervene, God himself will bring a resolution to the Antichrist, then we can rest secure knowing our future and our hope are with him.